Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1188B, and today's date is January 26, 2017, and the title of the episode is The Elite Push the Doomsday Clock to 2.5 minutes to midnight. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, Trump has been doing quite a bit on his first couple of days in office, and he's created a lot of executive actions, and the corporate media, they're trying to keep up with what he's doing, and they're trying to create propaganda to counter everything that he's doing, even make things up. So these are the things that he's done so far as president. The first thing he did was provide relief for the Affordable Care Act. This order allows the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the heads of other departments and agencies to waive or delay implementation of any Affordable Care Act provisions that would impose a financial burden or any state or regulatory burden on any individuals. 2. Freezing all regulations. The action, given in a memorandum from the White House, delays all regulations with the exception of health, safety, financial, and national security matters. Reinstating the Mexico City abortion policy. The president reinstated the so-called Mexico City policy, which blocks the use of taxpayer dollars to fund foreign non-government organizations that perform or promote abortions. He's saying the United States does not need to fund this. Let those countries handle it themselves. We need to fix ourselves first. He scrapped the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He froze the federal workforce. The order does not apply to military personnel, and the head of any executive department may exempt positions that include national security or public safety responsibilities. He advanced the Dakota Access and Keystone XL pipelines. He's expediting environmental reviews on infrastructure projects. What this does is that these projects in the U.S. have been routinely and excessively delayed by agency processes and procedures. The action instructs the chairman of the White House Council on Environmental Quality to create expedited procedures and deadlines for the environmental reviews. Promoting made in the USA pipelines, so the steel, the metal used, and everything else has to come from the United States. He's reviewing domestic manufacturing regulations. And what this does is it instructs the Secretary of Commerce to contact stakeholders to review the impact of federal regulations on domestic manufacturing. He's increasing border security measures. Begin planning, designing, and constructing a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. Pursuit of undocumented immigrants. Prioritize certain undocumented immigrants for removal, including those with a criminal conviction. Those have only been charged with a crime. Also hire 10,000 additional immigration officers at U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Prohibit federal funding with the help of the Attorney General to sanctuary jurisdictions where local officials have declined to help enforce federal immigration laws. Reinstate the Secure Communities Program, which was terminated in 2014 with Obama, and enables state and local law enforcement to effectively act as immigration agencies. So we can see that this is what he's done. And most of it is really undoing everything that Obama did. Obama signed an executive order. Well, Trump signed an executive order that counters his executive order. So we can see right now that the corporate media is out there and they are reeling from how quickly he's doing all these things. And they're trying to catch him in certain areas. And AP reports that the Trump administration is mandating that the EPA scientific studies and data must undergo review by political staff before being released to the public. Now, it's not abnormal for administrations to restrict access to government scientists. In 2013, a statement by the Society of Environmental Journalists called the EPA under former President Obama one of the most closed, opaque agencies to the press. And we can see right now, Trump wants to see what they're working on, what data they're putting out there, what contracts they have, what deals they are making. And we see that they're trying to say, well, the Trump administration, they made us take down the climate change page. Well, Sean Spicer was right out there, and he debunked media reports that the Trump administration instructed the Environmental Protection Agency to remove the climate change page from its website. No, he said, there is nothing that has come from the White House, absolutely not, that said this. And just completely shut them down right off the bat. Now, he did put a gag order on the department. He doesn't want people talking about certain things that are going on there. And we can see that the EPA employees, well, they decided that they're going to speak out because they don't believe in censorship. Well, your president, who you work for, is telling you, listen, I need my team to come in there. We need to see what you're working on. I'm new here. Let's not talk about what's going on just yet, which makes sense. And they decided to create rogue Twitter accounts so they can say what is going on. Fine. But we can see right now there's a lot of misinformation that is out there. Now, I know Trump is out there and he's saying that, Mexico is going to be paying for this wall. Now, a lot of the wall is built. I mean, there's fences and things like that. It's not all the same, but it does run across California, through Arizona, and there's a big portion in Texas, which is pretty much has nothing. But we can see right now that now he's saying that the people must pay for it, and then Mexico is going to reimburse. But we can see Enrique Peña Nieto, he said absolutely not. This is the president from Mexico saying, we are not paying for the wall. Now, the only way that Trump most likely can make them pay is maybe through the negotiations through NAFTA, saying, listen, we'll do this, but you need to pay for the wall. But we can see right now Mexico is saying, we're out of this. So we're going to have to see how this goes forward. But I think Trump is trying to keep to his promise that he made on his campaign trail. And at this point, I don't know if this is the most important issue. We can set up surveillance in this area. We can get rid of the memorandum that Obama had, which he's already going to do, where illegals who jump over the border stay in the country. Just have the Border Patrol send them right back. Set up a lot more surveillance, add more Border Patrol. It'll be a little bit cheaper than the wall right now, and we can get to the wall a little bit later. Because I believe that the economy, I don't know if it can handle the expense of a wall and the expense of everything else, because things are rapidly falling apart. Now, there is a top U.S. Secret Service agent that is out there, Carrie O'Grady, who's saying that she will not take a bullet for Trump. She will not protect Trump, and she doesn't believe in this president whatsoever. And to that, I think she needs to be removed from Secret Service, because she is a Secret Service agent, and that is her duty. She signed on to do this. And of course, she's saying the world is changing. I'm not going along with this. So you know what? Get rid of her. Get someone who will protect Trump. And that's why Trump decided to hire his own personal security staff. On Monday, President Trump selected Ajit Pai to head up the FCC. And the mainstream media is going completely crazy over this. They're saying that Pai wants to destroy net neutrality, is an obstructionist, is critical of basic privacy online, and plans to dismantle net neutrality. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. To fully understand what Pai's stance on net neutrality actually is, we need to clear up the confusion that has been surrounding the term for years. There is net neutrality, and then there's net neutrality. There's Obama's net neutrality, the elite net neutrality, and then there's real net neutrality. Net neutrality is, it's an open and free internet, nobody controls it. Plain and simple. Obama's net neutrality is having the FCC control it, regulate it, placing it under Title II, which was included in his version of net neutrality, where it would allow the FCC to take the internet and consider it a utility like water and electric. Now, water and electric, they really don't change over time, but the internet does. It gets faster. The technology is improved. So it's really not a utility. And what Obama wanted to do was tax, have companies pay for faster areas so they can get their information. And all this was about control, taxing, and limiting free speech on the internet. What does Pi want to do? Well, he wants to get rid of all that. He says that we shouldn't be touching it. There's no reason to touch it. It's not broken. The internet works fine. And we can see right now that it is fine. So what's happening? Why is the corporate media, the establishment, and the elite, why are they so angry? Because Trump is undoing everything they worked on all this time. And they don't like it. They don't know how to stop it. Because they were thinking, oh, this is a great way to control the internet. Companies are going to pay. We're going to tax people. And things are going to be great. And we're going to convince everyone this is net neutrality. But we can see right now it isn't. And now they're getting nervous. Now, Trump was interviewed on ABC. And they were talking about torture. And I noticed after the interview, or right before the interview, they had that document come out saying, oh, Trump is going ahead with CIA black sites. And actually, they're recognizing that there were CIA black sites. I remember there was a period of time where they said, no, there's no such thing. And now they're saying, yes, he's going to reopen them. So we can see right now that they're trying to play on his words. Now, he was asked if he agrees with torture. This is someplace where this is an area which I completely disagree. He says that he has reports that waterboarding and torture absolutely work. Well, we can show other research which shows that torture does not work. And he has General Mattis and he has Pompeo, who's head of the CIA. Mattis doesn't believe in torture. Pompeo does. He did say he was going to leave it up to them to decide. But he does believe in torture. He believes it works. And at this point, this is where I completely disagree. Because in his speech during his address to the nation, he said America should shine. Torturing an individual who is not been convicted of a crime. And I don't care if they're an American citizen, they're a foreign citizen. You don't know if they really did what they're being charged of because they haven't been convicted. And for America to shine, we can't stoop to the level of not giving due process. And of course, they bypass due process by setting up these sites across the world because it's outside of the United States. Because if it was inside the United States, this would be against the law. But this is an example to the rest of the world. We should be above this. We should give these individuals due process. We should allow them to defend themselves of what they're being charged for. I mean, think about what's happening here. And everyone's, well, there's terror, there's this. Yes, there is. But we also have to look at who's creating this terror. Is it true terror or is it terror created by the CIA? And for us to shine, we need to be better than this. We need to extend the rights that we have to individuals, especially if the U.S. is saying that, well, we think you committed terror on the U.S. They need to go to trial. Now, out in Syria, we see Turkey has now designated the Islamic State, the Nusra Front, and al-Sham as terrorist groups, along with what Russia has been saying all along. So we can see that Turkey and Russia, they have been working together. And it doesn't mean that Erdogan's a good guy. He's still a dictator, but he is doing whatever Putin says, and he's following along right now with his orders. We see that ISIS defenses, they're completely collapsing in North Aleppo. It seems like ISIS is on the run right now, and it's just getting worse and worse for the paid mercenaries in this entire area. Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, well, she returns from Syria with renewed calls to end what is happening in Syria. Now, she went there for a week-long visit to Damascus, Aleppo, Beirut, to see and hear firsthand the impact of the war in Syria directly from the people there. She heard stories of suffering, pain, courage, and hope from people all across the country. She met with the refugees. And she released the following statement upon her return. My visit to Syria has made it abundantly clear our counterproductive regime change war does not serve America's interests, and it certainly isn't in the interest of the Syrian people. As I visited with people from across the country and heard heartbreaking stories of how this war was devastating their lives, I was asked, why is the United States and its allies helping Al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups to try to take over Syria? Syria did not attack the United States. Al-Qaeda did. Well, not too sure about that. She said I had no answer. I returned to Washington, she says, with even greater resolve to end our illegal war to overthrow the Syrian government. I call upon Congress and the new administration to answer the pleas of the Syrian people immediately and support the Stop Arming Terrorists Act. So we can see right now, she saw firsthand that the U.S. does support the terrorists, that these paid mercenaries are trying to overthrow Assad. Now, the corporate media is out there saying that there's a draft executive order that Trump is expected to sign regarding his plan to suspend the U.S. refugee program and tighten the procedures for vetting. However, they're saying tucked away and hidden in the document is something about safe zones in Syria. And this is according to Reuters and Newsweek, saying that he's going to create safe zones in Syria. Now, this has been the plan of the elites since the beginning. This is what they really wanted to do. And I find it very interesting for Trump to hide this in an executive order. It makes no sense at this point because he campaigned on not getting involved in the Middle East. And he's a little confused right now about the Islamic State and terrorism. I don't think he fully understands that the United States pays for them, supports them, and uses them for regime change. And once he starts to realize that this is the case, well, he's going to have a huge problem on his hand because things that he's doing right now, he's going to have to reverse. And hopefully somebody tells him what's really going on. But we can see there's other voices there. There's other forces at play in this area where they're pushing him in one direction and other forces are pushing him in a different direction. So what he's hearing is most likely many different things. And we can see right now that eventually, hopefully, he'll find out the truth, because otherwise, those in power, those hiding behind the curtain, well, they're going to try to push him in a certain direction. And that direction, most likely, will be war. We see the Islamic State has put out a new video showing that they have this weaponized drone program, and it looks like it's a complete and utter fake. It looks like a lot of it's CGI. It looks like very Hollywood, and, they have it with music and everything like that. And once again, it looks like they're pushing this out to the public to make everyone afraid of the Islamic State, which, again, you have to remember what the elite are doing. They're playing on Trump right now. They're playing on his emotion. They're playing on what he knows, because they're trying to push him into a conflict with China, so they're going to play on that. They're going to try to push him on a conflict with Iran. They're playing on that. And he's come out and said he's completely against the Islamic State, and they're trying to push him in that direction also. So we're going to have to see how this all plays out. Now, for the first time in 64 years, the atomic scientists reset their symbolic doomsday clock to its closest time to midnight on Thursday. They're saying that the world now is closer to a catastrophe, actually an apocalypse. Why? Due to threats of nuclear weapons, climate change, and Donald Trump's election. Yes, Donald Trump's election. And the clock's hands were moved to 2 minutes and 30 seconds to midnight from 3 minutes. And we haven't seen anything like this since 1953. The last time that it was this close was at that period in 1953, marking the start of the nuclear arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union. And the clock was changed in 2015 from 5 to 3 minutes to midnight. So right now, we can see that the elite, they're pushing the idea that Donald Trump is a problem and we're closer to an apocalypse. And we see right now that they're going to push their agenda to make this happen. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.